listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. This is our episode number 116. And with me, I have special guest from here, again, in Cobb County, just down the road, Dr. Perry Holbrook. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate your time. Dr. Holbrook is the orchestra director at Walton High School here in Cobb County, Georgia. He's been there for 25 years. It's your 25th year.
Hard to believe.
It's crazy how fast time goes. And not only has he built that program up from 130 students to over 300 students, he also has gotten his feet wet dabbling with composition and been very successful. So welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Thanks
it's a pleasure to be here, Charles.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your history, because you're one of those non-string majors who has made it in the orchestra world. And so tell us a little bit about your background, when you started and where you're from and all that stuff.
Okay, well, I mean, this is a long, convoluted story, but I'll try to give you the quick version. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, in the shadow of Jackie Dillon, and all the programs in Kansas, you know, she cast such a large shadow over that area. Mm-hmm. And I grew up playing in band. I was a trumpet player, and I have 3 degrees in trumpet performance, but I also played bass in my orchestra. Cool. And if you want a fun little story, our middle school orchestra, the schedule was set up so the orchestra winds would come to orchestra on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we were in band on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And of course, you know, when you grow up, you don't realize how crazy that is.
That's not the norm.
So yeah. I grew up thinking orchestra was just
2 days a week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
Without fail.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I had a special situation at Alpharetta where I got them once a week.
Right.
And that was, for around here, that's pretty rare too. But twice a week. Okay, so you had good experience being able to do band, and then you played double bass.
And then and then I just like playing in orchestra so much that, you know, I won't say I was the greatest bass player, but I did play bass and enjoyed it. And I got 3 degrees in trumpet performance. Had conducting assistantships, and so racing through this because you know, when I was working on my doctorate at the University of Minnesota, I was asked if I could conduct a youth symphony because of all the conducting I was doing. And being a poor graduate student, the only answer was yes.
Always yes. I remember what I would do for $75. I would drive like 2 hours, play a gig, and come back for $75. Like in college, you just do it. Right?
Yeah, this is in Rochester, Minnesota. And again, in the middle of winter, when you're driving from Minneapolis to Rochester in the snow, crazy times.
Yeah.
But I thought, hey, I've got friends who are graduate string students, and if I get into trouble here, I will, you know, ask them.
Nice.
And that's where my love for teaching strings came. I did that for 3 years and just loved it and wanted to know more about it. Mm-hmm. And make a long story short, you know, I moved to Georgia and took a job in an Army band. And I was the staff arranger. I wrote music for the Army band. But I still was getting all kinds of emails from my former string students, and I just decided I wanted to be a string teacher. And you know, maybe something we'll address, but the shortage of qualified string teachers, I would never say my first year that I was a qualified string teacher, but I had more qualifications than far more people. Right. So that's
So then you started
story.
Here in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And you were at Chattahoochee High School?
I was at Riverwood High School and Chattahoochee High School at the same time.
Oh, like 1 or 2 classes at each school?
Yes. Morning, afternoon kind of situation. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how many years did you do that?
I did Riverwood for 1 year, and the Chattahoochee program grew, and they liked what I was doing, and so I was able to be full-time at Chattahoochee the next 2. So I spent 3 years in Fulton County, someplace I know.
Yep.
You know, you're very familiar with.
That's right. Okay. And then you came to Walton in 25 years ago.
Yes, 2001.
Right? It just seems like yesterday when we talk about like the early 2000s. It's like, it wasn't that long ago. Yeah, it was.
Well, it was. And
it was.
Funny thing, you know, we have those Cobb County IDs, and of course we have to wear them now. I mean, we were always supposed to, but I used to not always wear it. Right. And I have color in my hair on my ID. You know, so from 2001.
There's color still. Just different colors.
You're too nice. You're too nice.
Yeah. So awesome. So when you came to Walton, there were about 130 or so students, and were you up by yourself, or did you have an assistant at that time?
I had a half-time assistant when I first started, and that kind of went away, and then I got an assistant back. So long story there. So we were around 130, and I have to say that I had the great fortune of following Kirk Moss. Who was at Walton High School.
Yeah, amazing.
And that is a great fortune. But of course, when you follow somebody who is very successful, there are issues, when you follow someone successful. So, but yeah, Kirk, had it going on, as the kids would say, and it was a great program to step into.
Yeah, fantastic, awesome. And over the years, I know you've played at GMEA many times. You've done Midwest quite a few times. Can you tell us a little about like those experiences?
Sure. Yeah. Credit to Kirk. Kirk was the first teacher in Georgia that I know of to get a group accepted to Midwest.
Oh wow, okay.
And I actually applied at Chattahoochee, and believe it or not, was accepted to go to Midwest. But I had just signed a contract with Cobb County.
Okay. Oh, I think I had heard that Jim Palmer,
correct,
took over and took the group to Midwest
and
that year.
Did a fantastic job. But, that moment back then...
That's not for everybody to be able to do. Like, that's a Jim Palmer thing,
Right.
Yeah.
Back then, you got this big envelope from Federal Express if you got accepted, and I had just signed the contract, and I walked into my current school, Chattahoochee, and walked up to my mailbox, and I'm like, what's this? Because I thought there was no way I'd get accepted on the first time. So
yeah, amazing.
Anyway, so I guess I've been accepted 7 times at Walton. A COVID
Oh, that's right. You had
I had a couple of COVID experiences, but Midwest. You've done Midwest.
Yeah.
You know what a fantastic experience that
is. It really is. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's just kind of unlike any other. It's the appreciation of the people who are there, the excitement of being able to get your kids there and play on I call it the Super Bowl of orchestra events,
Absolutely.
Really
I've seen your groups on that stage, and and all of our students just carry themselves with just a lot of pride because they realize what a...
And it just could, I guess it gets the ball rolling and keeps everything going as well. Like when you're, that even the years after, it's like kids that were there know, and then they talk, and it just keeps the traditions going. So once you get to that level and that big stage, then it just keeps going, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And just that experience of the kids seeing the industry, like kids don't realize that, there are $25,000 band and orchestra directors that want to come together and do this every year. So once they see the exhibit hall and they see the other groups perform, like, there's, when they see the full orchestras or whatever it might be, that's just like, it's mind blowing.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've had some good performances over the year. Each of them is so special to me, and I think back to the kids, and I can literally...
You remember
I remember each group in what we were doing, so...
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. The Orchestra Teacher Podcast is sponsored by Kaleidoscope Adventures. Recruiting and retaining talented musicians is essential for new orchestra directors building a program, and one of my favorite tips for generating interest is to plan a trip. There are so many options. You can participate in a festival at an amusement park, take the stage at Carnegie Hall in New York City, or travel abroad and perform in Vienna, the legendary city of music. Wherever you end up, not only will your current students look forward to the trip, but younger students will count the days until it's their turn to go. If you have no idea where to start, connect with Kaleidoscope Adventures by visiting the link in the show notes. They've been planning exceptional performance travel since 1993 and will make you look like a seasoned professional. Tell us, do you have some things that you do in your classroom every day that are like, that you would say are Perryisms, or things that you do that maybe others would be able to benefit from or learn from? Like if it's strategies or just philosophy or mindset?
I mean... Gosh, so much, I don't know how you feel about this, but so much of what I do, it's like, is this something mine at this point or something that I stole? And it just ends up in the great blender known as our bag of tricks. But, one thing that I like to do is I like to start the day with, especially when the kids are so busy. I teach out, as do you, I teach at a school where academics are so important, and the kids are just stressed out from coming from a chemistry test.
AP this and that. Yeah.
Oh, you know it.
Yeah.
And so I like to shut off the lights, and I like to do scales in the dark with eyes closed, no director, just listen. And I look at the kids, and I tell the kids, I say, just let your cares just dissolve, and we're just going to concentrate on beauty, making a beautiful sound together. And, just listen. Don't be the first person to play the next note. Just listen. And so we will religiously play scales like that, just listening to every note in the dark.
That's a cool idea because, I always talk to the kids like, okay, close your eyes when you do this because we know when we take away a sense, the others enhance.
Correct.
But I haven't thought about the lights. And you have windows in your room.
I know, and it doesn't.
But I don't.
Right.
So my room will be pretty dark. I have, one emergency light, but I think that would be a really cool idea. I'm going to steal that.
And I mean, so many of us are doing this, but kids moving while they are playing. I had a student go to Eastman, and again, I'm a sponge. I love pedagogy. And I figure the more of that I learn, the better teacher that I'm going to be. Especially not being, I know I played a little bass back in the day, but I would not call myself a string player first, certainly. But, I had a student go to Eastman, and we've been doing some of the exercises that the violin teachers there do as far as teaching how to move while you play.
Yeah.
And, I just find that, that we play better together. And there's a lot of times you have to look at a kid and say, no, really, you're going to do this. But, back when Suhan, Sue and his orchestra, when I saw him at Midwest and I saw everybody moving, I was like, okay, no more.
Yeah.
We are doing this.
Those are the type of experiences you have. You're like, oh, I thought I was doing pretty good. And then I realized I'm like, I have so much more I could do.
Oh, they look like just young professionals. They look like Chicago's Civic Orchestra or something up there. Just the way they carried themselves. And also, again, I don't know about you, but I find it you're a violinist, so you know how nice it is to play on a stand when the person next to you, and you literally can just sense where they think the beat is.
Yeah. No, it's important. It's important. So the movement thing, I learned from Sue and then Young Kim.
Yes.
The group, like the breathing, like,
yes.
He even had the, someone quoted, it was like the John Creek sniff, because that's where he teaches in John.
Correct.
Right, because it was so forward, but it's great. That's awesome.
Right.
I like that idea.
I mean, I'm big on student leadership, just by, just School of Hard Knocks. When I first started teaching, I remember I had this great violinist who was an ASYO, and he was taking lessons from, I want to say William Pooh, and it's just like, why not take advantage of the fact that this kid is very well schooled, and it's like, hey, why don't you work with some of these kids in a sectional role? And so, and the other thing is, as you walk down the hall and you see these, Charles and I both come from this great band tradition,
right?
And those kids have responsibility, and I thought to myself, my string kids are, charitably speaking, at least as amazing as the band kids, and so why don't I give them some leadership roles?
More things to do.
Last night we had rehearsal, our Monday night rehearsal, and kids are doing sectionals, and they had some of the smartest comments, and they worked so well with each other. And I think that student leadership is I don't know how you feel that.
I've been trying to do more with it, but the thing that I realize is like I need to be in that role of more of a facilitator than the dictator, so it's one of those things that, I have to be in charge, but at the same time, I have to give them some ownership, let them take ownership of certain duties. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I looked at them, just like this orchestra this year is like, look, I've done this a few times. I mean, I said, I'm 60 years old. I don't need any more flowers, as the kids say. This is your orchestra. So, I want you to help lead. I'm here to, this is my top orchestra, and for everybody. And
you guys have a Monday night rehearsal,
right?
Like but you've been doing that for a long time.
We have, we got 6 orchestras, so this is top orchestra stuff. You're not going to do this with your freshman orchestra,
right? Right. I don't even do that with my top orchestra. I think they would revolt. But it's one of those things that once it started, a tradition, whatever it is, then it's the expectation.
Well, and you wouldn't believe it. At 6 o'clock, every section, it alternates. It's responsible for bringing food. So everybody gets there early.
When there's food, then
the bass players,
it's not that difficult.
Right. The bass players love to bring chicken wings. And so
really?
the whole orchestra will sit there and eat chicken wings before rehearsal.
Okay. Yeah. Make sure you have the hand sanitizer.
Yeah, exactly. But if that's what it takes to make you enjoy rehearsal, let's go.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So how long is your rehearsal on Monday nights?
It's an hour and a half.
Okay. It's not too long.
And it's nice because if we want to bring in someone from the symphony or what have you, we have the time and, during
a lot of times they can't come during the day.
Or even another, or a teacher,
right. Yeah.
Because most of us have our own job. So I'm able to bring in, and I keep telling myself I need to do more of that because you know how we're all, it's got to be perfect before we bring someone in.
Yeah. You got to kind of swallow your pride and let it happen. And
exactly.
I think, I've done a lot of guest conducting and I've had a lot of people in too, and they all understand, it's like, it's never going to be perfect. And most guest conductors also understand that they're going to tell the kids the same thing that their normal teacher telling them, but the students have a tendency to listen a little bit better when it's not the teacher that's in front of them every day.
That is the best,
Yeah. But it's funny when you get the looks from the kids because the conductor will say something and then you're standing there, the kids all look over and you're like, yeah, right. That's right. I just said that last week. But
well, especially when you have someone like, Jay Christie, he's one of our local symphony violinists. When someone from the ASO says something and it's exactly what you said, I love to just sit there and be like,
Yeah. Isn't that great? That's so great. Yeah. And, I think last time I had Mark Laycock in, it was the same way. It was, he was saying a lot of the same things and, he has it in a different way, but the kids' takeaway is like, okay, this is important.
Yes.
This is important. And I do need to do this.
The problem with Mark is you end up laughing so hard,
Gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And then some of the, it's,
it goes over.
Heads,
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. That's great. Well, this is awesome. And then, so tell us a little about. So now you started doing some composing, and obviously you've done arrangements and stuff like that for a long time. But you had a couple pieces that kind of were hits, And tell us a little bit about, I guess, some of your pieces and kind of how you got into that, and maybe the inspiration behind wanting to compose and do all that.
Wow, I used to write in college, but of course, you can look at my gray hair, and I liked more atonal. I loved avant-garde stuff.
Okay.
And of course, how that stuff goes. I might have had stuff played one time, and it was never played again. And when I started teaching, I started doing arrangements because sometimes you just can't find something that's exactly what you want. That might be working on the skill that you want. And so I started doing some of that stuff and using it with my kids. I would do pop songs, just, don't laugh, I'm out there. But, if you're doing recruiting or whatever, the chorus is singing something and the band is singing something. And I always wanted to have the latest hit,
Yeah.
In 2012, we were playing Call Me Maybe for recruiting when everybody else was playing. Because, published stuff is always like
it takes years. Yeah, it takes a while to get through the system and the copyrights and... Yeah, just the distribution channels.
Right. And anyway, but so I started doing that, and then it really sort of came to a head back in, I guess it would have been 2014. Ashley Coley, I have great middle school feeders. Ashley Coley's one of them, and
we just had her. She was on the podcast a few episodes ago.
Oh yeah, I listened to that podcast, and it's so good. Yeah. But Ashley asked me to write an original piece for her GMEA performance.
Okay, good.
And I hadn't written an original piece for strings before, but she had just such confidence that I was going to do a great job at it. That I because she has played many of my arrangements, that I said sure. And I wrote a piece, and she played it at GMEA, and it went over pretty well. And it's a piece called Killington. It's not published.
But, it's not published. Okay,
right. That was kind of what got me into the ball game, and after that, it was like, okay, I want to do that. I wrote a piece, in 2015 or so, called Someday. That's the one that seems to have a little bit of traction, is being played. Around
it's on several
country.
state lists, right?
Yes.
I know it's on ours in Georgia, right?
Yes.
And then what else, are there other states that it got put up to, or you don't know?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I know, as far as, you get your royalty checks, and I know that Someday is my best seller at the moment.
And that,
And it's been played at like 3 All-States. And Ashley, of course, again, I shouldn't name drop her so much, but she's always been a big fan of my composition. So, and the way it works with publishers, and I'm sure you're aware because you've got stuff with Hal Leonard, but you got to have that one thing before they pay attention. And then after you have that one thing, everybody's predisposed.
Right.
And it took me 8 years. Someday I actually had 8 rejections.
Oh, wow.
It finally...
It's a good lesson for everybody out there that just does keep pushing through. Different publishers you put through?
Different publishers, yeah.
Wow.
Different publishers, a lot of rejections from publishers that you guys out there all know and love. And finally, I was doing Midwest, and I was talking to Larry Clark at Excelsia, and just on a lark, I sent him someday, and he said, yes, we're going to publish this. And it was like, what?
So that one's through Excelsia.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And
Wingard Jones. I don't know why I thought it was
Wingard Jones, but Wingard is owned by Excelsia.
Oh, okay, so it is
it's
Wingard
one of those
Jones.
conglomerations.
I got it. Okay, I had forgotten.
And then I had to submit to editing, which for all you guys out there is always interesting because I had written what I thought was the perfect 7.5 minute piece, and he said, "I'm not publishing a 7.5 minute piece.
We need it to be what, 5?
5.
Yeah. It's interesting how the publishing world works because having been with Hal Leonard for a while now, you start to learn the business and what they're looking for, and obviously all the publishers are taking the grade and bringing it down as much as possible because if you don't know, the easier pieces, the lower grade the pieces, usually the more it sells.
Absolutely.
And so, if it's a grade 4-ish and you go, really, this should be a 5, it's probably because it is a 5.
It probably is.
But they've slapped the 4 on it because 4s sell more than 5s.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so after
that's your job to be the judge of what you pick.
Absolutely. After that, I went hiking in the Rocky Mountains, and I wrote a piece called Never Summer Mountain, submitted it. The next day, they picked it up. And
that was the same Wingard Jones?
Yeah.
Excelsia?
Yes.
Okay.
And so most of my stuff is published on the Wingard Jones label through Excelsia. And I do have one thing on Randall Standridge that it's a sweet piece that I love. And I could list them all. And I'm happy to say that I've got 4 pieces coming out in 2026.
Nice.
I decided I would really try to make a good go of this and get serious.
Are you doing work like in the evenings, weekends, summer breaks, and things like that?
I have to have. I don't know. I can't just sit down at the computer and write. What happens is I just hear it in my head, and I don't know when it's going to happen. And I carry my phone around like end up
use
like
a voice memo.
Yeah, using
sing it in there. Yeah, I've done that.
And then leave myself little breadcrumbs. It's like I'm thinking that I'm using this chord progression and.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about your process. I mean, we got a little glimpse of it here, but what's your process for writing an original piece?
It seems to when I it's different now because now I have editors that want me to write and I've got a couple of commissions that I need to do more work on.
And this is where like the process comes from. Oh, I want to be creative to. I have to do this now, right?
And I'm not good at that, Charles. I got to be honest with you.
It's a different thing when you do something in your own free will. And you just do it when you want, and it comes out a certain way, and there's like not that many parameters, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's a commission, we're paying you this much, but we need it by this day, and it needs to be this level. We need to have a hard cello part or whatever it might be. They put down some demands for you.
Yeah, we'll take Acadian Solstice. I got contacted by a director in Indiana. And at the time, he was at Zionsville High School in Indiana, and he asked me to write a piece, but he was very clear. He's like, we've played Someday, and we want a piece that sounds like Someday, but we don't want Someday. And, of course, it's like, okay, I got to plagiarize myself. I can do that.
Yeah,
so,
right. Well, I mean, you get the vibe, know, and... So is that one done?
Yeah, it's been out for a couple of years.
And that one, what is that one called?
It's called Acadian Solstice.
Acadian Solstice. Okay.
And Ashley played it for her Midwest. It was on her Midwest tape.
So
she's not playing it at Midwest, but
that was one of the. Yeah, I think I remember.
It got her into Midwest.
I remember that now. So.
Anyway, so I went hiking in Acadian National Park, and I started hearing melodies. I was actually at this lighthouse trying to photograph it, and I grabbed my phone and sang the melodies, and then came home and wrote a lot of it, but then it was like I knew the piece had to go someplace, and I had to wait like a week before where it went, kind of, sort of.
So you notate the melody, and then you come home, and then you just notate it into finale. Or what are you using? You're using finale?
I still use finale. I know.
For now. For now, yeah.
There are a lot of publishers who still use finale, and one person, my editor at Winger, Tyler Arcari, said, they'll pry finale out of my cold hands,
Right. Well, you just wonder, like, if there's going to be a developer that goes, you know what, like,
wouldn't that be great?
Couldn't we just take this and start working with it and make it into continue finale, or call it something else, but it's finale, but it's just a new.
Well,
I don't know.
And I would never say finale is the best music program ever, but when I was in grad school at Minnesota, finale was developed in Minnesota, and they walked into our TA room and said, "Here, have this," and it was like, I don't know, version 2 or whatever.
Yeah. I started version 1 at Ohio U, and I remember I would go to the computer lab to use it, and there was a user manual of 1,000 pages. And when you would click and open the app, it would take forever to open, and it would open with like a single measure with nothing.
Oh my
in
gosh!
It, right? There was no like wizard to set up your scores or your staffs. Nothing. It was just like a single, and you'd have to figure everything out, and it was not as even close to as user friendly as anything is now.
When I was in the Army, I would write and of course a band score, many lines and many parts and lots of percussion, and I would write the thing, and then you had this split into parts command.
Yes.
And I would have to hit that command like when I went to bed, and I'd set my alarm for like 5 hours later,
and it would take
to
that
see
long.
If it did it without crashing, and if it did, I could go back to sleep. If it didn't, I'd be panicky. And
Isn't that crazy? And now you just open the score and you can click on part and edit the part, and it edits the score. Before, you'd have to do the score, and then you'd have to generate parts. And if you wanted to change the part, you would have to redo the score.
Oh my gosh.
Then,
you're so right. Dorico looks great. I've seen some people write on MuseScore.
I'm a MuseScore person.
That's what I understand.
Part of that is with Hal Leonard. They were bought by Muse Group, and a couple years ago now. Yeah, so Muse owns Hal Leonard, and so it's one of those things. Like when I did my first arrangement, and I was like, well, I'm going to do this in MuseScore, and I had dabbled with it before, but I had been finale since version 1. So for me to give that up was kind of weird. But at the same time, I realized this is a new architecture. You could tell that it's with like the changes in Mac OS. So I use Mac OS. You could tell that it was making the changes with it, and it was the code was more native, so it was snappier, and you could just feel like finale getting more and more and more outdated.
Oh, absolutely.
As you go. So, and I still think it's a great product. I wish someone would dig it up, and I don't know if that's even a possibility, or if it's not allowed.
Well, and now I'm trying to figure out what to do, because if I update the computer that's finale's on, I'm dead in the water. So I think I've got to go buy another laptop. Just to leave that one laptop just.
That's your composition laptop.
That just becomes finale laptop.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy. I did try Dorico for a couple days, and I just did not. It wasn't driving with me. It was the interface was very unlike what I was used to, and like I said, I'm a Mac person. Been a Mac person for a long time, so it felt very Windows like, and that was hard for me. I was like, I don't like that. So
yeah.
And MuseScore keeps getting better and better and better, and they have all these plugins now, and instrument add-ons and everything. So I'm liking what I'm seeing, which is cool.
Well, the young kids, I've seen some people do some really professional stuff on it. That was my thing. Is like, it just doesn't look professional, but I can't say that now.
Yeah, it's getting more advanced, and they just keep improving it to the point where there's almost, there are certain things that you might be able to still do on Dorico or Finale that you can't yet do on MuseScore, but it's pretty advanced stuff. And for what most people will use it for, including myself, I think it's going to be great. So
I use it in AP Music Theory. It's just I just haven't ever written a piece on it.
Yeah. Are you a note clicker, click in the notes, or are you a keyboard transcribe? What do you do?
It's a little bit of both. Sometimes I sit down and I use the keyboard, but honestly, sometimes I'm contemplating what I'm doing as I'm going along, and I kind of I know this sounds really weird, but I like the slow pace of just note entry, just because I'm thinking about what am I doing here. It depends.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you have 4 pieces coming out next year. What else is in the works? I mean, are you like anything new with your program or?
We are going to play Georgia GMEA, our state music conference, and we're going to do that in January. And we've done that quite a number of times, but I'm really looking forward to this one. I guess I mean, if you do the math, I guess this is probably going to be my last one. So I want to go out with a bang. I'm not saying I'm retiring, but that would be 6 years from now.
It's there somewhere. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a solid chance. So we've got some good stuff in the works that I'm very excited about.
That's cool.
And the great thing is there's so much good music out there, and I'm trying to play stuff that I haven't done before. That something fresh for.
So, do you have any pieces that you're doing like right now that maybe would be good to share with our audience, and some things that maybe aren't standard?
I wouldn't say this is not standard, but. I hadn't heard Gershwin Lullaby in years.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing Gershwin Lullaby, and I've taken kind of a fresh look at that, and I'm kind of in love with that piece at the moment. When I first started teaching, 30 years ago, everybody played Gershwin Lullaby, but it seems like that has fallen.
It's interesting how that happens. Like I've noticed there are like the trends of like this piece becomes really popular, and then it becomes everybody plays it, and it goes away. I've also noticed as I've moved around the country that geographically, there are pieces that are popular in certain areas.
Oh, true.
And when I moved to Florida, I had not played any Carol Nunez. Mm-hmm. And he was super popular in Florida because Michael Allen was down there. And everybody, so it was just weird that geographically there were pieces that were popular that weren't necessarily popular in other places.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
And that's been kind of the cool part about moving around is that you see some of these, the diverse. Repertoire selection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to play the last movement of Bartok Divertimento because, we are Walton, and I do have a reputation for playing something ridiculous. And
that's cool.
I have that concert master this year. And so,
nice. Yeah. Well, yeah. When you have that special student, it's like, utilize that student while you have, you got the strong cello section, then you got to do this, and you got,
we're like the land. I mean, everything's good, but we are the land of violins right now.
Okay.
It is a strong fiddle section, and so
that's cool.
I can't help it. I mean, isn't that a great problem to have? It's like
it is. Yeah. I my freshman orchestra, I have 14 cellos and 16 violins.
Right.
This year, so I have a cello overload.
Well, I love those kids. I love my fiddle section, and they sound crazy good this year. So.
Nice.
We're having a good time.
So and you have a fall concert coming up.
We do.
When is that?
September 30th.
Okay. After break.
After break, we're coming back. I've got a piano player, and I've never done this before, but believe it or not, found on Pepper, there is a all-string arrangement of Rock 2. So I've got a piano player playing the first movement of Rock 2 on September 30th. And I don't mean he's kind of playing it. I mean...
He's like killing it, huh?
I mean...
But you have a string orchestra arrangement.
String orchestra arrangement,
nice.
So, I mean, it is a string orchestra arrangement, so I'm not going to... And I should be able to tell the listeners the arranger, but it's escaping me at the moment.
Okay,
okay. But
is it free to download, or do you have to pay for the arrangement?
I had to pay for it. It was one of those,
Is it Arrange Me?
Print, yeah. It was on Pepper itself.
Pepper, okay.
And it was easy. I just was able to just
digital
e-print.
download.
Yeah, exactly.
So are you a digital download person? Do you do a lot of music that way?
No,
or do you do mostly paper?
Oh, Charles, I'm old. I love the paper.
Yeah, So I as much as I love my digital stuff, like I don't read a paper score anymore.
Right.
But I don't buy digital download music unless it's in like an emergency.
Right.
Like I need this holiday piece tomorrow, and I didn't plan well,
Right.
And I need to do that. But normally I like to have my set of music.
Well, and I love the concept of digital download because sometimes you're in a hurry, but even more so, I would like to think that somebody out there might go impulse buy one of my pieces.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, I mean, you should. It should be an option, I think.
Right. I love the option, but I love printed music. I don't know, there's something about it, and I'm old fashioned. I do like my printed scores. I mark the ever 11 whatever out of my printed scores, And
yeah, I like the digital thing, but that's just because I can take I can have it with me, and if like I played a piece 2 years ago, and I want to look it up again and look at it, and I can see the scores. It's annotated, it's ready to go.
I get it.
So unless I lose my
right,
but I have good backups, I guess.
Anyway, so it's going to be a great fall concert, nice. And we've got a bunch of we're actually playing the Gershwin Lullaby, and then going to put it away before so we're playing that Matthew Naughton, good old Tango Portland Caboose.
Cool.
I mean, I have that fiddle section, so it's just like I hadn't drugged that out in like 10 years.
The Naughton arrangements are sometimes really difficult, but there's some good stuff there. I bought the whole thing.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, it was worth. It's like 250 pieces, and I forget how much it was, but it's definitely worth it. It's way cheaper than buying them individually.
Well, you'll have to tell me what ones I need to do.
Yeah, well, next. So I'm working on the Brandenburg 3 that he did, and so it's like it's not the original because I don't have the instrumentation to do the original, and but it's not the Isaac arrangement either.
Right.
So it's that next level up, and it still has the middle section. It has that whole middle section in it. Yeah. But it's truncated a little bit, but it's very accessible in a short time because our concert's a week from today.
Yeah, I get it.
16th. So.
And I will say on our GMEA concert, we are going to play all of Brandenburg 3.
Nice.
We have a digital harpsichord. Like,
oh, cool.
You know the ones I'm talking about? Wow. It was like a Roland product, and it was offered for like a few years and discontinued, and they have
not like a synthesizer.
No, it's like looks like a harpsichord,
but it's digital.
But it's absolutely digital.
I didn't know
it sounds amazing and fun story.
You got to transport that to Athens.
But fun story. We found, I should say, Jacob Bettinas over at Dickerson found one on sale because I've been wanting one, but they're not available. He found one on Facebook Marketplace. And I called, and we had to get it first. So I sent my fiance's son and my daughter to North Carolina to go pick it up.
Wow.
And so we have, and so we're very excited about.
So when did they make those?
Oh gosh, it was like like the early 2000s.
Okay. And it was just like a short run, and they're like, we're not doing this.
And I guess not many people bought them, but in the Baroque circles, it's nice to have something that's not affected by weather. So after the fact, they've become really popular.
Can you tune it down?
You can do all kinds.
You can.
Pitches.
Okay, I was going to say because like it's not going to be as authentic unless you could tune it to like 415.
And you've got different tunings, and you've got and you've got a button. You press it, and all of a sudden it has the perfect celeste sound. So when's the last time you had a celeste? So
that's really cool.
It's so cool.
Nice.
So we want to do that. Years ago, I saw ASYO do Brandenburg 3, but I think Jerry Flint was the conductor. Cut it down and kind of turned it into a concerto grosso because there's parts where it's like too thick,
Right.
So I'm following kind of notations from those old parts.
Oh wow, cool.
So excited about that.
That's going to be really awesome. I can't wait to. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that. That's going to be really cool.
And those diminished runs you were just singing a second ago. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fun
stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Fun.
It's going to be great. Well, this has been awesome. Getting to learn about your compositions and all the things you're doing. Any last maybe words of wisdom for people out there that either just for teaching words of wisdom or compositional things that I don't know that you're thinking about?
Oh gosh, I guess what I love about this job is there's just so much to learn. I saw, John Williams, the composer, he's 93?
Yeah, he's up there.
I saw an interview with him, and somebody asked him a question, and he wistfully said, I regret that a lifetime is not long enough to learn about music. And I was just floored when I heard that because I keep learning stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I had, my first year, I feel so sorry in some ways for the students that I had my first year because I just feel like, I've learned so much. And so you asked my last words is like, just keep learning. There are so many, I went early in my career. I went to the Ohio State String Workshop and learned so much from Bob Gillespie. I've learned so much from just going to ASO rehearsals. When I first started, Sharon Anderson was my feeder, and I would just go watch her orchestra.
Yeah.
Tim McQuinn, watching his orchestras.
Just find those mentor teachers and learn from them and attend the professional development, conferences and
it's just going to sound crazy, but when my daughter took cello, she studied Suzuki, and I went to all the lessons, and I loved the Suzuki process.
Yeah.
And I actually played bass all the way through book 4 with my daughter before there comes that moment where my 11-year-old kid looked at me and said, Dad, you're kind of out of tune. And I'm like, I'm a bass player.
Oh man. That's hilarious.
So just keep learning,
that's great.
And I mean, and most people, we're in a situation where we're isolated. So the second we see another string person, we're lucky in our county, we have all these people to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. And those
friendly
people out there that don't have, there's a lot of people listening that maybe don't have the resources that you and I might have with all the teachers here. There's most teachers are only an email away, and so you meet someone at a conference or something on Facebook, or use the Facebook group that Gail and I, were talking about too. It's like,
that's such a great group.
Great group. Lots of ideas. So
and one thing that I learned, when I was still playing gigs on trumpet, I was that guy there for a while. And when I first started teaching, the string players wanted to run because in the breaks, I would just walk right smack down in the string section with music, and I'd be like, okay, so how would you do this on I don't know, whatever, the Elgar Serenade. And my point in saying this is, everybody loves to talk about their instrument. If you say, hey, will you spend some time telling me all about the viola? I bet you'd spend hours with me. Because who doesn't love talking about their instrument?
Fun. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I think when I had Harrison Cook here, we just shared those, I was just fascinated just watching him talk about cello and all the tricks, so it's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much again for taking the time to be here, everybody. This is our episode 116, and I appreciate your time.
Well, these episodes are just great, Charles. So, I wish you continued success with this.
Been a lot of fun, learning a lot, getting to talk to different people, and that's
great
what it's all about. So we will see you all next time on the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for listening. You can support the work I do by hitting that like button and subscribing to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast YouTube channel and visiting www.orchestrateacher.net.